Hello there, guys. Welcome back to Younes Talks Football. Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. We are joined by two special guests. I told you guys yesterday that I'd be doing this video early, first thing in the morning. And don't forget, today is a double upload day, so you will be getting a normal video later on. But as for this one, I am joined by man like Matisse. Ma, how you doing?
People, welcome. Lateness is greatness. If you know the slogan, you know.
Yeah, we're running late. I apologize. We're on Frank Lampard time, aka Matisse time, because he's always late for the streams. And joined by Miz as well, other side of the coin. Miz, mate, how you doing? From down under.
Absolutely down under, man. 10:27 p.m. We have arrived in the 50k subscribers channel. I mean, I'm buzzing, man. I am buzzing.
Oh man, it's good to have both of you on. Both of you are quite familiar with streams. I just want to let you guys know, do check out both of their channels in the description. You'll find both links there. They both do amazing streams pretty much daily. Am I right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Both of you. Yeah, the grind is real. The grind is real, and the content's amazing. So do give them a follow, do give them a subscribe, have a look, and enjoy. Today we got quite a conversation. Today's going to be quite interesting. No filter, pure honesty. Let's keep it real. A few topics I wanted to discuss. It's been a mad time for Chelsea, hasn't it, lads? We beat Morecambe. We beat Morecambe.
Yeah,
title contenders, I hear. Title contenders.
Reality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, honestly, the fact that the form hasn't been great. We saw yesterday that Man United won. They are now 10 points ahead. I can't fathom. I can't comprehend how this has happened. Man United are 10 points ahead of us, lads.
Tears in my eyes, honestly. It's
After the slow start as well. After their slow start.
After that, yeah.
And our 17-match unbeaten streak. Don't forget.
It's mad. It's unbelievable. It just goes to show you. Things can flip. But right now, 10 points is a large gap. It's a large gap. So the Fulham game coming up is crucial. And not just that, but the games following that, Leicester, and then not too long after, we've got to play Spurs as well. I want to ask you, starting with you, Matisse, what's your consensus? How are you feeling? Are you confident for the Fulham game? Do you think we can turn it around? Do you think Frank Lampard has what it takes to not only just beat Fulham, but to keep that form going into the games afterwards?
I'm confident for Fulham, but do you know what? If I wasn't at this point, we'd have some serious issues. Like Fulham, no disrespect to them, they're a decent team. They're very hot and cold though, and they're 18th in the league, so they're obviously more cold than hot. Do you know what I mean? Their situation, they're warmed up pizza at best. So, you know, if we can't beat Fulham, then damn, we got issues. Do you know what I mean? We're going to Craven Cottage. They're not far. They're just next door. Do you know what I mean? A couple of streets away. So there's no travel lag time or anything like that. And then on top of that, the fixture list after that is a little bit ropey. You know, we spoke about it with Miz on the phone last night. We was quivering in our boots, shaking. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whatnot. In the middle of winter. I was like, yo, hold on a second. We got Wolves and Leicester, two well-organized teams that play different styles of play with more experienced managers. Shit.
It's mad. It's mad. And at the same time, we got to remember, Fulham have to play Spurs, and that fixture came out of nowhere. So we really don't have an excuse. If they have to play pretty much their strong side, which Mourinho seems to have a problem with.
Yes. I don't know if that was sarcasm.
That was classic from Mourinho.
It's got to be. Surely. He's not that dumb. Surely. But yeah, if Fulham have to play, and then just a few days later, whilst we get all the rest, you know, from the Morecambe game, there's no excuse. Miz, how are you feeling leading up into the Fulham game? Are you nervous, or are you confident for that one, and maybe a little bit cautious for the games afterwards?
Look, I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm definitely nervous, but I'm confident that the expectation is to beat Fulham. But if you look at Fulham in the month of December, they drew against Liverpool 1-0. They drew against Southampton 0-0. They barely let in any goals during the month of December. They only had one loss and 4 draws. The loss was against Man City, and that was only 2-0 as well. So, you know, these guys are finally starting to put together some sort of organization, some sort of formation. they've had a bit of break. Obviously, this match against Spurs is a massive shock, as you said, is a big shock for them. So I don't know how they're going to go with that. But I'm worried because this match happened. Because now I feel like if they get touched by Spurs, you know what's going to happen when they come against us. They're going to be ready. So I'm not appreciating this match against Spurs one bit. This should not have happened because we should have played Fulham straight up. Now Fulham gets a practice match. Then they come and face us. And they could be absolutely outraged. Do you know what I mean? At their home, they could be absolutely outraged to beat us. So this scenario, I don't know, man. I'm not liking it one bit, but I still expect us to win. It's the one after, man. It's what Matisse was saying. That Brendan Rodgers, for all the people out there, I just tweeted not that long ago, about maybe 10 minutes ago, stating our next 5 games, Younes. So we've got Fulham, we've got Leicester, we've got Wolves, we've got Burnley, we've got Spurs, right? Yeah. Brendan Rodgers, Nuno, and then we've got Jose as well. I mean, these are the games that I want to see Frank go up there and win. And I have to put my hand on my heart and say that I can't see how he wins that now because there's too many fundamental issues for him to fix. And we have to hope that those experienced managers truly stuff up. Like you're really hoping for a miracle. That's what I'm trying to say.
Shit.
I'm just real. I'm being real here. You know what I mean? I'm not going to come here and put a cheerleading.
Confidence of Fulham. Yeah, we going to turn over the neighbours. And then Miz just like talking about their record. I'm just like, holy shit.
No, honestly, and even for us, it's looking mad because if you look at our fixtures now, even considering the FA Cup ties, we now have 9 games in 28 days. Oof. Starting Fulham. We have 9 games. I don't know if any of you actually have bothered to check or know this, but yeah, like I only discovered this day before yesterday and I couldn't believe it. I saw a tweet from Carefree Youth and he just put all the fixtures out and I'm just like, oh my God, in 28 days, we got to play 9 games.
I'm sure Pulisic will be fine. I'm sure Ziyech will be fine. I'm sure all of our players are not injury prone.
No time to train. No time for tactics. Fantastic.
I mean, to be honest, the one plus is that we have to play. So we got the Luton game, for example. That's one of the 9. So okay. You know, that's hopefully that's a game where we can rest and we can rotate heavy. But you know, in little circumstances like that, cool. But apart from that, they're all important games and they're all big games. And then after the 9 games, that's when we have a week's break and then we play Atletico and then we go mad. So
then it gets easier.
You know what? Yeah, this might sound crazy, but I still can't wait for a Atletico. Something about Champions League nights, no matter what situation we're in, probably 2012 has done that to me. No matter what situation we're in, I just look forward to Champions League. Even if I'm not confident, which I'm not against Atletico, like how can you be against Atletico? They're top of the league, and they've only conceded 2 open play goals this season. 2. Do you know what that 2? Not 1.
2. That's all right. We don't score open play goals. We score set piece goals. That's all right though. We only score set piece goals. That's in our favor.
Zuma. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, it doesn't matter what we're for because I've seen us go into the Champions League with no obviously we had different players back then, we had different mentalities in our squad, but I've seen us go into the trenches with Champions League night. So even when on the back night in Champions League, I'm still pumped because the song alone is something to get excited about, regardless of what happens on the pitch. So
that is true. That is true. There is something about a Champions League night, and it's such a shame without fans because that is the turning point. When there's fans, I don't know if you've been to a Champions League night, Matisse.
Yes, one. I went to the one against Ajax. I was so blessed that
night.
Yeah,
the 4-4. Yeah, we were both there. We were both there for that. Yeah.
I nearly creamed myself, bro. It was an incredible atmosphere. You know that little meme that goes around of Lewis and the little kid interview, and he's like, "Well, that atmosphere was bloody incredible, wasn't it? Absolutely. I've never seen anything like it. Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
I've never seen anything like it."
That was me that night. I nearly fell off the top of the tiers. I'm telling you.
Honestly, that night was mad. But that's what I'm saying. With fans, it's a different story. It's different gravy. So it's a shame there's no supporters. But Champions League, you're right. Anything can happen, you know, unless if in the first 5 minutes we concede and it all goes down the drain. But hopefully not. Hopefully not. Now, if we're looking in terms of some news that's been coming out, and I've done a couple of videos on this, and I wanted to get your opinions. Avram Grant has been linked with a comeback, but not as a manager, at least for now. He's being rumored to be stepping in some sort of backroom role, to aid Frank Lampard in the distance. Now, what's your take on this? Do you think it's a good idea? One, do you trust Avram Grant to be that support figure? Do you think it's a good idea for Roman to bring someone like that to aid Frank Lampard when we know Frank is, I don't want to say stubborn, but he likes to do things his way. You can tell, and I'm sure he's open to suggestions, but it's his way that he wants first. He doesn't want someone else overpowering completely. What's your overall consensus on this? Do you agree with someone like Avram Grant coming in? And if you don't, do you still think we should get someone in to support him? But who? We'll start with Matisse.
I do agree with going with experience. I tweeted a couple of weeks ago, I wanted us to look at our coaching stuff because I feel like the addition of Barry has really helped us. And for everything that we've got with Edwards and Jody Morris and Lampard, I feel like they're probably singing from a similar tune, which is a good thing. You want your coaching team to be alongside. They're all very, they've got experience with youth and player development from the young ages, but there's no experience at the top level in terms of coaching experience under top managers or coaching experience at the top level, coaching the first team. And also, forget all of that if you disagree with that, but also top level experience going through tough times and tricky periods like this. And for me, the academy was always based on mirroring our first team formation. So under Kante, our academy played a back three, and that's probably why our fullbacks, are so good going forward. Our Livermentos, our Sterlings, our Reece Jameses, our De Silvas, Lampteys, they're all so good going forward, potentially because they all have got experience playing wing back at some point, because Conte had only just disappeared into the picture a couple of years ago. So, their job in the academy has always been, they've done a brilliant job, don't get it twisted. We've won FA Youth Cup or the FA Youth Cup, but we've also usually had the best team as well, just outright because of our recruitment from Neil Bath from the very beginning, from the younger ages. So when they get to that under 18, under 17 level, they're quality youngsters. We do have Nketiah's leaving us, Brewster's leaving us. Quality youngsters that can't even get a look in. Declan Rice's. So let's not make no mistake. This is a quality setup from top to bottom. So it's not just to give all the credit to Jody Morris and to give credit to Edwards. It's to give credit to the under 9s coaches, the under 8s coaches, the people that recruit from the local clubs and set up all of that stuff that we don't see when they're going to Sunday League. All of that stuff goes into the youth development. And I just felt that the management coaching team was, yes, very shifted in one direction. And there was no one with experience like a Steve Holland or someone to say, listen, guys, we're fucking up here. Let's go this way. And it's not even let's go this way long term, because the project, you understand, they're going to be singing from the same tune. It's when we're going through moments of hardship and moments of, trials and tribulations where we need to keep Frank in his job, and we need to get through moments of difficulty. Okay, here's a short-term fix, like a new formation that I suggested, a secondary formation, not I want a change of formation overall. I like the 4-3-3, always have. Secondary formation, because when you have no wingers, hey, maybe let's not play with wingers. You know what I mean? Let's maybe go with a diamond, because we saw it under Ancelotti in our most entertaining season. Obviously, I understand the caveat, the other side of things, other side of the coin. Quick plug for Miz. You know what I mean? I can speak on both sides of the situation. I know there's no training in between, and lack of training. There's not many days in between the games, and it's difficult to train a new formation, a new tactic. So that's the caveat to it, and that's why I suggested it. But I'm not going to die on that hurdle, despite hopefully wanting it to come into fruition. But at the same time, Avram Grant, for me, it's good to see experience coming in, but it's not my first choice. Like I said, Steve Holland, a Clement, one of these guys we've already seen at the club that worked under a top manager. But Avram Grant, when I look at his CV, it's not the most impressive. He got obviously the year at Chelsea where he got us to all the finals and then bottled it at the end, sadly. But I think we know from reports and the way that team was structured that it was very much going off Mourinho's tactics, and that team was one of the best teams in the world. So it's pretty hard to piss that up. Do you know what I mean? Let's be real. They was always going to be challenging, no matter who was really in charge. When you got prime Ballack, Lampard, Drogba, Carvalho, all these things. So let's not lie to ourselves and think that this team was some sort of bums and they needed tactically coaching like to an insane level. He's got experience at Portsmouth, West Ham, but a lot of experience is also director of football. So it's not a perfect option, but it's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction.
And you, Miz? Are you along the same lines regarding Avram Grant?
No, I'm actually going to play a different. I'm going to bring the other side of the coin here. I completely understand what Matisse said, and it's valid. But I'm going to look at it in a different perspective, in the sense that what sort of message does that give to Frank? Has this been run past Frank previously, or has this just been come out of the blue in the table and pretty much said to Frank that we're going to get someone experienced just behind you? Because if I was Frank, let's just say, if you guys were Frank, right, and you're running the show, you're the top guy in this club, and then the big boss man calls up and says, hey, I'm going to get Avram Grant to support you throughout these tough times. He's not going to do anything. He's just going to stand there, maybe give you an advice here and there. But yeah, you do the lineups, you do the formations, you do everything. I'm going to start asking questions. Well, what is he going to do? What kind of advice is he going to give me? Do you know what I mean? And what if I don't want to take that advice? I want to run my own show. If I can't run my own show, then why am I even here? If you've already got questions if you've already worried that you need to give me someone like Avram Grant to stand behind me, then I need to ask you the question, do you really believe in me? Do you know what I mean? What's really going down here? So I don't know, man. For me, it's the famous sort of quote that came out a couple of days ago, where Frank Lampard, during Andres Villas-Boas's day, when he got sacked, Frank actually was quoted, and this quote is actually going around football Twitter, where he said, none of the boys are to blame for Andres Villas-Boas's sacking. We did everything that he asked us to do. He played his cards, and it did not come off for him. So he got sacked. And then he also said, maybe this opportunity came too early in his career. Maybe this was
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
So if Frank is capable of saying that, then he should be capable of understanding that for his own situation as well. So for me, man, Younes, just to answer that shortly, I suppose, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Because if you're going to do that, if you're really going to do that, Roman, then I think what you're really trying to say to the wider community is you don't trust Frank. You really don't trust Frank, and that any slip up in the coming future, you will sack him. That's the message I get out of that.
That's the thing, and I mentioned this in yesterday's video, and I want to get your view on this. Some people are seeing this as a completely positive thing. An experienced head, Avram Grant, yes, he was manager for, you could say, a few months with Chelsea, alongside some big names. And yeah, if we're bringing him in to support Lampard, cool, that's it. Yeah, that means we're fully backing Lampard and we're just providing him with a little bit of support. Nice. I get that. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying Roman hasn't thought that. But what doesn't sit with me is if that was the only reason, I truly believe we'd be going in for, as you've just suggested, Miz, a Steve Holland, who right now can do the job. He's on England duty, and right now internationals are far between, so he's working under Southgate. He does have the time if he wants to accept it, if he does want to accept coming in again short term just to help. Clement is another one that you've just mentioned, but someone that has been an assistant manager or an assistant coach in that role. If that was the case, I think that is real support. I think that is someone that you can look at and go, yes, he's coming in to just boost up the coaching staff. Cool. But when I hear Avram Grant, someone we know is a good mate of Roman Abramovich, someone, they're tight, they're Donnies. If they're bringing in someone like Avram, I think, as well as maybe being a support, like a way of support, I do think it's also a contingency plan. Just in case if Lampard does get the chop, we've got an interim ready to step in immediately until the end of the season. Whilst options are now too far, there's too few. We've got 2 call-outs available in Allegri, and that doesn't really sit well with us. There are better names out there which are currently at clubs. So I do think I think Roman is sort of both sides here. And I think a lot of people are being naive that it's just one and not the other.
And Younes, when does Roman call up on Avram? When does he call him up? When things
same time he calls up Gus Hiddink.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just putting it out there.
Man.
There's a time where he calls Avram, and it's generally not a good time.
Exactly.
It's true. Like the people underestimate, and like I said, even though I'm Lampard in and I've got patience for the season, or at least the way it's unfolding in the next few months. I think people are very naive to think that he's not under pressure. Like, he's under pressure. An Athletic report,
He knows that. Sure.
yeah, an Athletic report and a journalist that we all trust now suddenly gives us news that we don't like, and suddenly it's like, I don't know about all that. I really don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, every
rubbish.
every other time the Athletic post is like, oh, that's gospel there. That, do you know what I mean? Like, bloody hell, that's absolutely spot on, lads. And then as soon as they post something, like, I don't know about that guy. He's a rat. He's a mowing on. Do you know what I mean? It's like they dropped an article 1 minute. I counted it.
1 minute. It was. It was a minute.
60,
yeah.
60. Bro, you can do the countdown quicker than, like, slower than that. Do you know what I mean? It was that fast. The article dropped instantly on Lampard's head after that Man City game, and they're very well connected. Them journalists don't talk rubbish. They're connected with all clubs very well. So he's under pressure, whether people like it or not. And I think the fact that maybe the club's managerial targets are not available, because obviously Tuchel is available. So clearly for me, I think Tuchel's pushing that more than Chelsea actually push it. I think Pochettino and probably Nilsman at Leipzig are probably higher up in the chain than a Tuchel potentially. And your theory could be right, Miz. Whereas Avram Grant is literally there to potentially, some person Nemo put it up on Twitter and he suggested it to me. He said, "Listen, brother might just be there to report back to Roman, be the medium, and be like, let's just make sure Frank's doing what he needs to be doing." Yeah, because when
Avram is allowed to be here.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Because when you're a chairman and you spend all that money on Werner and Havertz, and you see them playing the way that they've been playing this season, I know there's adaptation. I know there's time for him to improve, but at the same time, do you know what I mean? With a project and with a season, there are checkpoints, and there are moments that you have to hit along the way to show that you're going in the right direction. Roman's not backing any, Roman doesn't just hand out a 3-year project and no matter what happens in the 3 years, have at it, whatever.
I'll come back 3 years later. I'll come back and see what's going on 3 years later. Like, I won't check in at all.
This is not Arsenal Football Club. Do you know what I mean? There's rules and regulations around here you have to follow. You have to actually be on your P's and Q's. It's true, but our owner doesn't just disappear to America.
Not for real,
watch other teams play and then check in every year and be like, how'd that go? That's not how it works. Do you know what I mean? I think people are seriously.
How'd that go?
How did that no under hit? All right, fuck it. Go, doesn't matter. Go on, carry on.
It's true.
They're very on point at Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? They want to see progression. So when I say we have to hit top 4 and things like this, it's not because I'm being a spoiled young brat who doesn't know the history of the club and doesn't have any patience. It's because I understand that a project has checkpoints. And even if we was on a normal course where we finished outside the top 4 last season, we have to finish in the top 4 this season on the normal course, not the course where we overachieved last season, then signed more players than we were expected to, and therefore have a better squad than really we should have at this stage of the project where we've overloaded so many. Do you know what I mean? In a normal situation, in the second year, we was meant to get Champions League football. So to not get that, I don't think the board are going to be very impressed. And when an article drops like that, the board clearly aren't impressed and they want to see improvements very quickly. I don't think that's crazy to say.
If you guys remember as well, well, it's not happened recently because Roman's been out the country, but do you remember every time that something begins to go a little bit wrong, Roman shows up to training? I remember, and he'd be snapped, and there's always like pictures of him watching training at Cobham, and he never normally does that unless if he wants to go and see what the hell is going on, like what is up, because this isn't going right, and he shows up at Cobham. He can't do that now because he's not allowed into the UK. He's abroad. He can't come into the country. So, and he definitely can't come in now with what's going on. So he's going to need someone, someone to be the eyes and ears. And I fully agree. Avram Grant can provide that for him, especially as a good friend of his. We'll see. Obviously, this might not even happen. At the moment, it's just a story, and it's rumor. It's a strong rumor, but we'll see if it happens or if Roman decides not to go ahead with it and just keep with Lampard and what he's doing. In terms of the next few games, and obviously we discussed not just today, but I mean like prior. We've discussed formation change. We've discussed which players should be getting selected. Should we base it on price? Should we base it on form? Like it's been really up and down. Two things I want to ask: do you guys still stick with the 4-3-3 as the prime formation that we should base ourselves around? Even after the Morecambe game, where we did still use that formation, and albeit it was Morecambe, we should really, put that into context. But do you stick with the 4-3-3 for the Fulham game, for Leicester and onwards? And Billy Gilmore, do you think he should be getting picked ahead of Kante or picked alongside Kante when he comes back? Do you think he should be relied on more? We'll start with Miz.
Okay. I've been thinking about this, right, in the last few days. Before we even talk about the whole formation thing, I think Frank needs to understand, how does he want to play, Younes? How does he want the midfield to operate? How does he want to build up? What does he want his forward pack to do? He needs to first understand that and realize that, because if you want to play possession based and you want to build up from the back, I have no issues you playing 4-3-3, but you can't play Kante. Kante is not going to be able to help you do that, build you up from the back, because that's why we are seeing players like Kai Havertz drop deep, Ziyech drop deep. That's why Athletic has come out recently showing the stats of Kai Havertz, where he's in the defensive half a lot more and not in the attacking half, because he's helping out Kante. So that's one of the issues. Now, if you must have Kante in your team, then I don't think you can play 4-3-3. You have to play 4-2-3-1, because Kante is best in a pivot. I know he's done a job in recent times for us in the loan DM, and maybe we even believed it to a certain degree that perhaps he can do it. I think the reality, now that we've seen quite a few games across many different teams, I think against the top teams, especially the top teams, Kante is incapable of playing in the loan DM, which then sort of puts us away from, playing that formation of 4-3-3 with him. Now, you can still perhaps play 4-3-3 with Billy Gilmore maybe, but then you also then need to ask yourself, well, how do I look at it in the defensive phase? What do I do in the defensive transition? Because Billy is not going to give you what Kante gives you defensively, right? So this is where I try to sort of bring that conversation that Frank really needs to understand how he wants to play the football. Because right now it feels like he wants the best part of everything, but he doesn't have the ingredient to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the default formation that he needs to go back to now, which is a safe formation, which is a formation that Frank Lampard has thrived in Chelsea, is perhaps the 4-2-3-1, because at least that way you're safe. You can stay safe. You play Kante because looks like he must start for Frank Lampard. He can't imagine dropping Kante, so he must start. And then have a Billy Gilmore next to him so he can help you build up from the back, which Frank also wants, because Frank doesn't want to just go route one with Mendy and just stick a Giroud up there. Hopefully the man headers it down or chests the ball, and then you bring in Ziyech, because he doesn't want to do that either. He wants the best of both worlds. And the only way you get the best of both worlds is with a double pivot, I reckon, at the moment. But that poses another issue then. Well, what happens with Mason Mount? Because if that's the formation, Mason's your man. Mason has been in your side in every formation. You've even stuck him in the wings when you couldn't fit him in the team. So, Younes, I don't know. I don't think Frank knows what he wants. That's my conclusion. He needs to figure out what he wants and then stick to it, because he needs to forget about price. Honestly, he's in a mess at the moment with Werner and Kai Havertz anyway, because He's the one. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's the club's pressure." You know, they went out there and bought. No. These were Frank Lampard signing as well. He signed. He called these men. He called them and convinced them to come to this club. So he also feels the pressure to start them, because it will feel like if he doesn't start them, then fans will think, well, you know,
why did you ring their phone?
You should have not contacted them. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Younes, it's difficult to answer that, because I don't know what Frank really is thinking at the moment.
I mean,
Matisse,
yeah, I mean, I would still stick with the 4-3-3. The only time I've asked for a formation change is the diamond, which is when we had no wingers. The wingers are back now, so for me, 4-3-3 sticks. I don't think Kai Havertz, you know, I've said many times, even on the byline, Havertz going into the 10 is not that different from the 8. You know, like I said, in the 8 position, he can take up 10 positions, and he can take up striker positions in the 8. It's not only is it meant to be fluid, but out of him and Mount should be the more advanced person, as I've always said as well. Mount, for me, if you're talking about build up with Kante, and I completely agree with everything you've said there, because I do feel like Kante's job is to destroy, to win the ball back, which he does very well. Apart from in recent weeks, he's been poor. But generally, Kante's usually top of the charts for interceptions, for tackles, for winning the ball back. And that's every season. He's usually top for that. But when he gets the ball, his job is to give it simple. It's always been like that. For France with Pogba, it was like that. With Drinkwater at Leicester in the double pivot, it was like that. With Chelsea and Matic, it was like that. Yes, he goes on some mazy runs sometimes, but that is when he has license to do so in the pivot, because he's not the person that sits. Now he is the person that sits. So he's not licensed to make mazy runs into the midfield and dribble past people, because he is able to do that. You know, we've seen him under Sarri play that right channel in the midfield, had great performances against Liverpool. I remember one in the Super Cup, nutmegged a couple people. He was brilliant. You know, his game has definitely become more rounded, but however, it's still not rounded enough for me long-term in the DM slot. I've said this many months ago. I feel like we don't have the perfect solution at DM right now. Much how I agree we don't have the perfect solution at striker, where neither of those positions I can say someone should be playing week in, week out, every single game, and we're not going to have any real issues. You cannot really say that with many players in football, but in those two positions in particular, I feel like because Kante is going to give it short, yes, Kai Havertz is going to drop deeper for build-up. And I actually already, you know, I felt like that was going to happen anyway. And I thought that was a good point in our favour, because, you know, we had a lot of turnovers for me last season when Kante played in that role at the back end of last season. In first half, so I wasn't happy. But then I said to myself, Ziyech is going to join, Havertz is going to join. They can drop deeper, and they have. Do you know what I mean? They're going to help him with build up, which they have, and we're not going to have a problem there. Now the problem that we're having is that Havertz is not in the box, and Havertz is not in between the lines where he should be, and the DM is not really going to fizz the ball in between the lines to make those really difficult on the ground passes in between players to get the ball to the likes of Kai Havertz, so he can arrive in the box a little bit quicker for the crosses. So long term, I think a DM that can pass from deep. You know, we saw Cesc Fabregas put balls over the top for the likes of Diego Costa. Someone like, you know, someone, he's not going to be as good as Kante maybe, but more well-rounded long term. I think the club will be looking at. Hence probably the links with Declan Rice. And then on top of that, you know, he just needs to be rotated anyway. For the second part of your question, Kante, if another issue with Kante for me is that he's always overused by Chelsea, because we don't have anyone else potentially that we trust in that role. You know, we know Jorginho doesn't really suit how Lampard's going to operate, because it's completely two different ideologies completely, and the mobility factor and whatnot caught in transition. And if we're going to leave gaps, then it's a wrap for everyone. And Gilmour's been injured. Now Gilmour's back. I'm hoping short term Gilmour can at least act as the cover for Kante. Kante suspended against Fulham as well. So I want Gilmour to play, and hopefully he plays well, because Gilmour, if you saw against Morecambe, if you saw Jorginho against Rennes as well, when Mount put in that assist, I believe, or Krasnodar as well, Havertz had a good game. When a player that puts the ball, passes it with a bit more speed through the lines, plays a Gilmour or a Jorginho, then Havertz seems to play better. Obviously, Hudson-Odoi helps as well. You know, he plays better with him as well, and he's been a large part of those lineups. But I feel like when we move the ball vertically quicker, Havertz seems to play better, and obviously get him in the box for the crosses. That for me was so plainly obvious. The brother was scoring headers at false 9 for Leverkusen. We're crossing the most out of every team in the league, and we don't have Giroud on the pitch at times. That's an insult. But then to add further insult, Havertz is not in the box either because he's deep, as the average position stated for Athletic. People want to say confidence. I don't care. He needs to be in the box whether he's confident or not. Because if we're going to be crossing at an alarming rate, have players in the box that can put the ball in the back of the net. Simple as that. Not Kante. Yeah. Not Kante against Arsenal going up with his beautiful head, going up for headers. It doesn't make any sense. And I'll die on this hill. It doesn't make any sense. And it is a valid criticism. Kante should not be in the box challenging for headers against Arsenal. It should be Kai Havertz. He should have been playing. He should have been brought on. He was brought on, but then we just decided to stop.
Too late.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
those are the fundamental issues for me.
No, I want to add one thing, sorry, just
go for it.
Off the back of what Matisse said. Obviously, formation is an important factor, but I think regardless of what formation we use, one of the other fundamental issues that we've seen over the last few games, and probably this season, even during our unbeaten run, is our pressing unit. So it doesn't matter what formation you use, if we are not pressing as a unit, if we are not pressing, properly, the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Man City, the likes of Aston Villa run circles around our midfield, goes straight through them. Kante is chasing shadows. It makes a mockery of whatever formation you're playing because it does not matter whether it's a double pivot or a 4-3-3 or a 3-5-2 or whatever you want to throw. If you are not pressing the opposition as a unit and closing them down, they will make a mockery of whatever you do. And that's what.
But the reason why I would stick with the 4-3-3 is because I feel like that's what Frank played in the most. So with his inexperience as a manager, I feel like that's what he's going to be able to coach the best. That's just me putting 2 and 2 together. He played 4-3-3. He knows about midfield dynamics because he's been playing in midfield for a decade plus. So if there's anything I think Lampard should have as a major strength, is not only bringing midfielders in, but also coaching midfielders, developing midfielders, and setting up a midfield base and a structure. And being able to implement it. So that's why I say stick with the 4-3-3, because that's something that for me that should be his strength as a manager, even in his early days, because he's been around different dynamics. He's seen the Mikels, the Balaks, the Essiens, the Makaleles. Do you know what I mean? He's been around, but then he's also seen the Sidwells. Do you know what I mean? He's been around everything. So I wouldn't, to give him the best chance, because I always try and tailor what I want to what the manager can do, and I'm trying to get stronger at that as the years goes on. And I just don't see the point in trying to get him to coach something that he's less experienced in. Than he's already handicapped with the fact that he's not experienced, and he's already learning on the job, and he's got to learn fast. So for me to then make it even more difficult for him and then make him coach something that he doesn't know, which was my argument as to why the diamond, fair enough, maybe you don't want to use it, continue to be stubborn, because at least coach something that you know how to coach. A lot of the top managers are stubborn because they have to coach what they're familiar with. Do you know what I mean? So we've had 2 Italian managers before this one, and they had their systems and it didn't change. So it is what it is, man. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's all about playing to our strengths a bit more in the structure that we have. I don't think a formation change is a big deal with the wingers fit. We just need to play to our strengths. And that means if you're going to cross, Liverpool cross. Have numbers in the box, though, when you cross, and have the right numbers. If you're going to play players, play them in their position. Not Werner on the left wing in deeper zones, asked to dribble and all this shit. Do the basics, please.
That's a very fair point, to be honest. That's a very, very good point. And it's going to be interesting to see if Lampard does pick up on this for the Fulham game and onwards, because this is the time where we need to see evolution in what he's trying to, get his team to do. There needs to be progress now, especially after the break that we've had. If fitness was an issue, if playing too many games too close together was a problem. Well, we've had a good break. The Morecambe game in between was a fairly light one. And now we've had more days coming up to the Fulham game. So we need to see better performances and a better structure and something that's showing on the pitch, because before that, you couldn't read what Chelsea were trying to do. Let's be honest. You just couldn't read what was going on. Now it's going to be interesting. Fulham and then Leicester and onwards. Let's hope we see progress tactically as well as performances individually. If I just want to put this as as an if, because for conversation's sake, just in case, it's a possibility. If Lampard doesn't survive, if it came to a few games down the line, or after Spurs or whatever, if Roman decided to, but if Lampard was to get sacked, which manager do you look at, just based on your analysis, your instinct? Do you look at and go, he's the one that we should be going for in case if Lampard does get the job? Which one do you see is the man?
I'm not going to lie, I haven't identified anyone that's realistic and available because
obviously, because let's pick out the obvious options, because Tuchel is available, Allegri is available. There's rumors about Nagelsmann at the end of the season, even though that's quite unlikely. Ten Hag is another one that's been mentioned. I've even heard Brendan Rodgers. I mean, it's peak, but
the only two managers that I would have taken, that I would have said, do you know what? Even now, do you know what? It's a project, but it's not a project just for you. It's a project for Chelsea. Lampard is not, despite what some people will say, Lampard is not like all of Chelsea Football Club. It's a huge part. Favorite player ever, all-time leading goal scorer, massive part of our history. Greatest player for me in Chelsea's history. Period. That's in my opinion. Some people say John Terry, whatever. For me, great. So when you have all those accolades, you're a massive part, but you're not the club. You're not the crest. You are not the whole thing. That's a disrespect to everybody else who's bloody contributed to the club. Yeah. So the only person that I would have said, cool, we're still in a project. Don't get it twisted, because the project is not just about Lampard. It's about the players. It's about the style of play. It's about winning trophies. It's about building a team to compete. It's not just about Lampard. I think people have forgotten that when they speak about a project. A project has got many pieces to it. Signing Havertz is part of the project. Signing that player is part of the project. Trying to change the style of football that we play from what we used to is part of the project. If you have to pick a new team leader, which is what you're suggesting, then the project continues. It just continues under someone else's direction. The only person I would have trusted for that new team leader role is Ancelotti and Poch, because those two I've been able to watch closely. I've been able to watch them for a long time, and I've been able to watch them in this league take teams up levels. So Pochettino, player development, youth development, taking Southampton from where they were to a team that got robbed from Liverpool because their player recruitment was so good. Everybody from Van Dijk, Lallana, Lambert, whatever, and took them from a team that was scrapping relegation up to Europa League places. Took Tottenham from Europa League places to a Champions League final. Again, Harry Kane, Eriksen, Ali. I've seen him do his thing. So for me, I can confidently say that even taking over mid-season, yes, this is something I can back, I can believe in, give him time, I know what he's going to do. Ancelotti, we already know what he is. Do you know what I mean? He is a man who's been able to go through different eras, adapt, and he's been an absolute blessing. Do you know what I mean? For me, the most entertaining football I've seen at Chelsea ever was the Ancelotti season. Do you know what I mean? That was an incredible year. Apart from that, I can't pluck out Tuchel because I don't watch PSG every week, and I get different feedback from people who do, because some people say he's a great coach, and I'm sure he is. He's had success at PSG, done well at Dortmund, but at the same time he's had problems with beefing players and whatnot, or he's a little bit
beefing boards.
Beefing boards, and I don't want all of that, because that's not long.
We've had too much of that.
I do want a long-term project, so I don't want someone who's going to butt heads with the board, because that's not long-term. And then, Allegri, hell no. Do you know what I mean? I know what style of football I want us to play. I know that we've got a lot of young players that I want us to be implemented as well. I like the way we've been, taking the best players from the youth and bringing that through and signing top quality players alongside. Allegri, potentially the transfer direction goes differently. So there's nobody out there right now that I can say, 100%. So because of that, for me, this whole, leave it to the end of the season. If you have to get an interim, like you've suggested with Grant, and then maybe you go for Nagelsmann, who I do like him a lot more, the Leipzig coach. But again, it's worrying. Does he adapt? I saw him against Man United. It got a little bit hairy. There's a lot of teams like Man United in this league. Will he be able to adapt to this league? So that's a little question mark. He's very young as well. So, like I said, nobody out there is standing out outside my Ancelotti and Poch options, because there's issues with all of them.
That's fair. I mean, obviously, with Ancelotti and Poch, it's impossible to get either of them now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's. What about you, Miz?
It's a tough situation, Younes, because let's say, for argument's sake, we lose against Fulham, right? And all hell breaks loose, and after he comes up with another article, this time at halftime as opposed to full time, I just don't see how there is a replacement now. Besides, I guess those rumors about Avram Grant is for that. I think he probably might take over as an interim for the time being. So, in the immediate sort of present, I don't see how we go out there and get any one of these names in the sense of Tuchel or Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann said it himself that he's still going to see out the whole season with Leipzig, and then after that, he'll probably think about that. Hassan Huddle is still doing a fantastic job at Southampton, so I can't see how he leaves right now. Allegri, perhaps, but is that the kind of football that we want to play with the kind of players that we have, Kai Havertz, Werner, the kind of, Allegri style? So that's a big question mark. So for me, right now, if it was to be something drastic, it has to be an interim. Call up the bad boy hitting, call up Avram Grant, and get them to sort of steady the ship. After that, Younes, I think we need to identify a manager in the likes of Klopp, because when he took over Liverpool, he had a CV of great, achievements, right? He proved that I've achieved in Mainz, I've achieved in Dortmund, I've gone toe to toe in the Champions League, and I've got silverware, so I can do that. I've got a great style of football. So I just don't know, man, Younes, who's out there in that type of caliber at the moment, who's won silverwares. I need to have someone come in whoever the next manager is, who's got a CV of winning silverware previously. Like, they know how to win. They know how to, do that. I don't know if someone like Nagelsmann, I don't think he's won. I could be wrong here. I don't know his previous CV, but I don't think he's won anything with Leipzig. He's taken them to semi-finals and whatnot. He's done very good this season as well with Leipzig. But once again, he's another manager we're hoping that he's going to come to Chelsea and he's going to win titles. I don't want to hope anymore. I want a winner now. Do you know what I mean? I want a big-time winner now. Like, I don't know who's out there. I was like Matisse. I would have backed Poch. And I know he's not a big-time winner, but at least with Poch, I was seeing that this brother was he was reaching something. Because
with Poch, you've seen everything but him win.
That's exactly. Yeah.
You've seen him do everything but get that win, and we've seen with Sarri, you cannot win stuff and then win stuff. Do you know what I mean? I focus less on the winning because I do like the project idea, but it's got to be a project under someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing where you go into a situation where mid-season trying to get someone, usually the managers worth waiting for are in the summer, because they want a pre-season to work with the team. They don't want to take a half-baked cake and try and turn it into something special. They want the whole pre-season. They want the transfer window. They want everything, because they're not pissing about. And I feel like, especially with the fixture congestion you just spoke about, how many games? 9 games in
9 in 28 games.
9 in 28 days. How the hell is a new manager meant to come in and implement their shit with no no training sessions? Like, you're talking game recovery.
One every 3 games. One game every 3 days on average.
Let's be real. You're talking game recovery, because there's always a recovery. People forget this. You have to recover.
One day.
Recovery. And then after that, what is it? Opposition analysis and then game.
Just one day of training.
Yeah, light training, analysis, and play.
They have to do opposition analysis. You can't skip that part. It's like not doing your homework and turning up to class and think you're going to get away with it. So there's no time.
You can sometimes. But I don't advocate it.
But we're trying to push positive influences to the younger audience. So do your homework, kids.
Do your homework.
No, but seriously, like, there's no time to implement a serious structure, or of course you can implement very, very quick things that can fix us, but there's no time to implement a philosophy or whatever you want to do with no time in between these games. And I feel like it would be unfair on the new manager to judge him at the end of the seaon coming into this situation in a freak season with no time in between fixtures and say, oh, you didn't make top 4 and we didn't play good football, get out as well. And then we have to go through a third man. I'm like, nah. So, you know what I mean? I understand the interim situation. And if that's what Grant is actually coming in for, even though I'm a bit worried as to if he actually takes us to another level, if and when, but you know, we cross that bridge if we come to it, I guess.
My manager, if I was to give you an answer, Younes, and I know this might not be very, very popular. I've seen a lot of comments here. People are saying Hassan Haru. Look, that's fairy tale stuff for me. I don't know if he would get.
I was going to ask about Hassan Haru, to be honest. I was going to ask you guys what. Yeah, but go on. Finish off.
I honestly think Hassan Haru, yes, he's a fantastic manager. No doubt about the job that he's doing in Southampton and the kind of style that they're playing. Impressive. The way they press, the way they play through the middle, they build up. Like, it's very, very impressive with the budget that they have in Southampton, what he's doing. But I still think Hassan Haru needs to go to another level just before Chelsea. Just before Chelsea happens, he needs to go to some other club. I don't know, maybe Arsenal or something, you know.
But
that
again,
level.
But again, that's a manager that needs time. They lost to Leicester like 9-0.
Yeah.
So that's another manager who needs time. And if we're getting rid of Lampard, it's a situation where we don't have time because we're getting rid of him because we're falling off the pace for top 4.
Exactly.
So it's a short-term situation where we're not looking for, you know, yes, the project can restart again next summer. The players are still going to be here. Nobody dies. However, we need to make top 4 now, right now. And that is a short-term situation. And that
nobody dies.
Yeah. You know,
yes, Antonio Conte.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? That is a situation where we're sacking him because we're not making top 4. And we need someone to change that situation and get us into the top 4 ASAP. And that is a short-term situation. It's not a situation for a long-term manager, a manager that we're going to build with again in the next season. That's a situation where we need a firefighter because the fire is ablaze and we're suffocating. That's what that situation tells me.
We've only got till May as well.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a very, very small turnover. You're looking for a quick bounce. You know what I mean? Shout out to Lampard with the bounce at Derby. You're looking for a bouncy time. That's what you're looking for. So, do you know what I mean? That's the situation of the matter. I rate him so highly at Southampton because at the start of the season, I said that was my dark horse to have a good season. A lot of people looked at me like, what? Southampton? That's so random. Like, why not pick Everton with all their new signings? It's Southampton, bro. It's because I've said this a few times last week, and it's the more I think about it, the more it started to make sense. The league seems tighter because the top teams like Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, well, Man United are top now, so who am I to speak? But they've got inexperienced rookie-ish managers. And then the middle third of the table is like, hold on a second, you twats. Let me go and get myself some experienced people right now. I'm talking Bielsa's, I'm talking this, that, and the third. All of these coaches at Everton, Southampton, League, they're all experienced. Do you know what I mean? They all know, and it's nuts because it just makes the table that much tighter. And for me, it's not surprising. Even Dean Smith, Aston Villa. Do you know what I mean? There's experience there. You got John Terry learning under him. You've had Arteta learning under Pep. That's my thing with Lampard is who did he learn under? I know he played under top managers, but he was focusing on playing ball. Do you know what I mean? I know maybe a couple 15, 20 minutes taking a couple notes, but that's not the same as being assistant manager and having to lay out the cones. He was playing ball. He was playing ball. And I back him to the hills, do you know what I mean? And in Lampard, we trust in everything. And do you know what I mean? 100, let's get to it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, before he got here, I said before he got here, we're rushing this brother into an absolute cauldron for no reason. Because let's be real, did we have his own managerial interests at heart? Did we have it with his own managerial career, best interests at heart? Now we were like, oh, we're Chelsea, we're gonna grab up whoever we want and rock up their career regardless. And as long as we get what we need to get out of it, then it's all fine. I'm seeing people we got his pull power, so it's all good, you know. It's been a success. We've got his pull power out of him. We got the youth blooded in. I'm like, cool. But what does Lampard get out of all this shit? Do you know what I mean? I don't see no trophy on his CV. I wanted a Premier League title on this man's CV if he ever came to our club. I want him to do you know what I mean? Yeah.
That'd be a dream. Yeah.
100%. Do you know what I mean? Maybe a lot of people will look at his time as a success, but it really does depend on how his time ends here. Do you know what I mean? Football is a fickle sport and it only takes a bad ending for people to be like, That's another Gary Neville, man, sticking back in the studio. Do you know what I mean? And I've got too much love for Lampard to just be thinking about Chelsea when I think about bringing him into the club. And no, I want Lampard to have a sick managerial career. So that means sometimes waiting until he gets to his prime. But we already got ourselves here, so it's what it is.
I would get Brendan Rodgers. That was my thing. I think Brendan Rodgers has done a phenomenal job throughout his career. Liverpool, he did a very good job. Almost got them to win the league. Celtic, he then obviously it's an easier league. He cleaned up over there. And now look at what he's doing in Leicester. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's getting the best out of Vardy. He's getting the best out of Harvey Barnes, Maddison, Tielemans. I think him under the team that we have with the likes of Werner and Kai Havertz and Ziyech and all the other players that we have, I think Brendan Rodgers would do a great job for Chelsea, but I don't know if that's going to ever happen.
Well, yeah, we'll see. Leicester will definitely not want to let go of a Brendan Rodgers. That is for certain. But yeah, we'll see what happens in terms of the manager situation. If things do turn, if things do change, we'll see what's available to us and what we decide to go with. For everyone watching, do send in your questions because we will start answering some of your questions. We've got a very good one on the screen at the moment. Ravi, thank you so much. Saying, Ollie out, United's top of the table. Arteta out, Arsenal playing like a different team. I hope the Lampard out changes fortunes for Chelsea. Do you see it happening?
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Do you know what I mean? People ask me why I'm still Lampard in. I did a stream. Do you know what I mean? I know a lot of negativity's been flying about and people been profiting off of losses and whatnot. But there was a stream that went out, Lampard in, why I'm Lampard in. And that right there, that's who you should be comparing him to. Those other rookie managers. And you've seen their fortunes have been changed. And you know what I mean? There is light at the end of the tunnel. Now, so that is something to cling on to 100%. You have to hope that he can turn it around. And I do believe that he's an intelligent man and he can get his way out of it. But you know what I mean? He's got to do it quickly because it's not going to be me. Do you know what I mean? People don't need to worry about fans' loyalty to different sides and what's going to happen if. Don't worry about that. Worry about Daddy Roman. Don't worry about us. Worry about Roman, bro. You know
Exactly.
I mean? People are too focused and concerned about, did they flop? Flip flop? Are they still Lampard in or are you Lampard in? You Lampard out? Don't worry about nobody. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry.
Roman's going to decide for all of us.
Worry about Roman. Worry about
Roman
because Roman's the only person that matters here. He's the only person with a super yacht with a red button saying panic. He's the only one. Nothing that.
I'll tell you right now, Roman is probably 50% Lampard out right now. I'll tell you right now. Roman is 50%.
Yeah.
This is Roman. This is our boss. He's probably 50% Lampard out.
People worry too much about what other fans think. Don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? I know you're coming here to see what we think, but you're not watching the stream thinking, oh god damn, I don't agree with them. Or hopefully you're not. I don't agree with them. I'm gonna go and they need to go to hell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just take the opinions as they come and just keep it moving. If you agree, you disagree if you don't. But the situation that you need to worry about is Roman. Because like I said, when athletic reports are dropping, don't think that it's by accident, yeah? Worry about Roman because he's the man that at the end of the day that Frank needs to impress. And if he's not impressed, then you know where the chips fall. Everybody says the club's changed and whatnot. I agree there has been a few changes, but there is a foundation. I said it. There's a foundation and a standard at Chelsea. And don't ever think Roman's just gonna let that. Don't let it. You think? Yeah, you think he's crazy?
And the other thing is, well, Matisse, what you just said a moment ago, that a lot of these managers, you know, who are experienced, had learned from few people, right? Had learned from many other managers, being assistant manager and so on and so forth. Who did Lampard learn his managerial? You know, as you said, surely being a player, he couldn't have just taken 15 minutes notes, and from there he picks up all of these managerial skills. Like Arteta has spent a lot of time with Pep. He has spent, 3 seasons under Pep Guardiola, understanding his managerial styles. So I think
Ollie's the freak, really.
Ollie's the freak. He's really doing it with individual players just coming through for him. But going back to Arteta, be honest,
even Ollie, sorry, he's got Mike Phelan next to him. Let's not forget.
Yeah. So Arteta has
experience coaching.
Yeah, like we could all sit here and say, oh, but Arteta turned it around, you know. I honestly thought eventually he would turn around because of all of that knowledge and all of that learnings that he took out of Pep Guardiola, that eventually he would. And a lot of people go, I haven't been following Arsenal, you know, closely. A lot of people will say that it's the youth players that have done the trick for him. Perhaps, but to say that his managerial tactics or any other things didn't come into play, watch the match against how they played against us. I'm telling you, tactically, Arteta got Frank Lampard that match. There was a lot of different tactical stuff that he did in that match with Xhaka, with El Nani, with the way they went wide on our players. There's a lot of stuff that Arteta did. And this is what I'm saying. This is what Matisse said as well. You know, Frank has not learned all of that yet. Like, he hasn't sat as an assistant manager behind the top dog and learned all of that. Arteta has.
Yeah. The thing is with Lampard, though, is he does have tactics. Let's not get it twisted and say that he doesn't have tactics. Do you know what I mean? He does have tactics. I saw last season us go away from home to Arsenal and change the game. I saw us go away from home to Tottenham, play a three at the back and play outstanding performance against Tottenham. I seen us go to Ajax, outstanding tactically against the man that you guys, a lot of you are saying we should replace him with, Ten Hag. Amazing performance against Ajax away from home. The 4-4 was sketchy as hell. Do you know what I mean? Man them in that defense. Do you know what I mean? That believe there have been tactical masterclasses, so to speak, from Lampard. There have been brilliant performances from us from a coaching standpoint, even in our unbeaten run. I know the fixtures were nuts, you know, in terms of they weren't the most difficult, and you know, you have to take it with a pinch of salt when we come up against the big boys this season. But Leeds, great performance against Leeds, the way that we was able to outrun them and whatnot. So there have been moments under Lampard that show you that he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you have to show it often. You have to do that consistently. And it's not that I'm saying that he doesn't know what he's doing. Otherwise, I would have been saying, get the brother out of here. He knows what he's doing. It's does he have the experience to implement it quick enough to keep his job? That is what people need to get into their heads. When we bring up these questions, that's the fear. We know he knows football. He's not an idiot. He's a very articulate, smart man. I'm sure if you give him ample amount of time, he will eventually implement what he needs to implement to get us to a very, very strong level. That is not my fear. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure if we even gave him 5 more years in the coaching game before bringing him here, he could potentially be a very top manager. The issue is not that. The issue is that he's very inexperienced and that I don't know if he can implement it quick enough to keep his job. And this is what I talk about when you're going through a bad run of form, which we are now. You have to be able to switch that up. You can't say to yourselves, okay, we need more time. No, you need to fix this now because your job is on the line, bro. I'm watching you fall against Man City, fall against Arsenal, drop points here, drop points there. Articles are coming out on your head. I need you to fix whatever's going on. You got to fix that now and worry about your long-term shit later. Worry about your Timo Werner later. Worry about all that stuff later. Right now, it's results. Simple as it's results. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That's fair. And that's even more the reason why the next few games are crucial. Starting Fulham, and we can't underestimate. We got to really just go there, play our game, and just hopefully, you know, just I don't want to say destroy them, even though we should have the potential to, but just get a result. As you said, we need results. We need results. If I'm going to read out one from Chelsea Love here, and this is directed at you, Matisse. Yo, Younes, super live stream. Thank you. Hey, Matisse, please speak up for Chelsea at Football Terrace. United Glory players dominate the conversations all the time.
Everybody keeps asking me to go on Football Terrace. I was on Football Terrace last week for the tier system game that they play. I don't know how often it is, but if you check the thumbnail, it's like Timo Werner and it's very pink and blue and whatnot. So I haven't been on maybe when they're doing their debates. I don't know how they debate and if they're speaking wildness. Maybe we need to go in there with an extinguisher and just do this. But like I said, I have contact with Terry. Do you know what I mean? I speak to him on a regular basis, and I'll go back on there soon. So if there's a madness kicking up over there, don't worry, we'll go over there and check it out. Do you know what I mean? I've spoken to Monstar CFC on my channel as well. So if he's doing a madness, let me know.
No, fingers crossed, especially with United now and the fact that they believe they're flying. You ask any United fan now, they're probably going to tell you they're going to win the title. Like, yeah, right now, they're in that mindset. Now,
bro, I go on streams with Rants, on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
and he was not feeling this season at all under Oli. Now these brothers are out here popping out the champagne and they're talking. I'm watching a stream with him, Harry, Saeed, and shout out to all the man because they're great guys. But I love the way they're all on the stream. They're like, yo, what we wearing to the parade? I'm just like, yo, you cheeky bastards, you know. I beg, we need Man United to be brought back down, man, because I can't be going on streams with these guys when they're in this mood.
Nah, they're not winning, man. They're not winning.
They play Liverpool on Sunday.
Yeah.
So,
big game.
Over the long run, honestly speaking, that style of football is not going to be able to win you league titles because Man City and Liverpool should be clawing back because the style dictates the way Man United play, which is a counter-attacking football. You can't be winning titles with that all the time. I know we did it with Kante's season, but you look at in recent times, it's the cities, it's the Liverpool. You got to be able to play ball, and I don't know if Man United's always capable of playing ball. They just got touched up by City in the Carabao Cup not that long ago. So you know, you got to sustain that in the long run. So tell Rants and all the other people, realists, just calm down. Just calm down.
We've seen Man City touch our clubs. They touched Chelsea differently. It was almost borderline illegal. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
It was molest.
Bro, it was raggedy, bro. And then Man United get the same touching. Foden and all these man, they're not gonna let it run. I have faith in Pep and Klopp that they're not gonna allow this to run. Same way Alex Ferguson didn't allow Liverpool to run. Same way Mourinho didn't allow Wenger to run. Pep and Guardiola will not allow little Oli to run because I still don't rate Oli highly. I can't lie to you. I can't rate him. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it. And that's where people make that comment where Lampard can he just almost just skedaddle his way back up there? Of course he can. The table's tight. It only takes a couple wins. Suddenly, zoom up there again. Doesn't mean the problems go away though, because I'm not gonna lie, average points last season was low as hell. This season looking low as hell. So there's context. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, this is why I like both sides of the debate, and I like to listen to both sides. And people be like, "Oh, you're just pandering." No, I'm not pandering. I like to open my ears because I'm not gonna lie. There's good points on either side, and if you can't see the points, if you can't see that the manager currently in charge has the lowest win percentage in the history of Chelsea managers in the Roman era, and you don't think these are good points, then bloody hell, I don't know what to say to you. There's points. There are points. So you have to listen. As simple as that. You have to.
That is true. Very, very good point raised. The key is to make sure, regardless of what side you're on, and I don't really want to call it sides because we are on the same flipping side. We support the same team.
You hope so.
I'm like, you know what I mean? But different opinions. If there's a valid point there, take it into consideration. If you agree, you agree, and if you disagree, well, be happy to agree to disagree. It's not a problem. You don't have to agree or disagree with everything someone says. It's fine. It's fine.
Nobody's gonna die, bro.
That is it. Here's a good question from Alex. Thank you, by the way. It says, do you guys remember the name Charlie Musonda? Now, obviously,
yes.
Musonda at the
I
moment.
remember this picture.
The Musonda at the moment is still at Chelsea, but he's been trying to recover from a really bad injury, which doctors told him he only had 20% chance of recovering from and playing football again. Well, he's pretty much made full recovery and he's training again properly, but he's not anywhere near the fitness required to be playing week in, week out. But it looks like he's going to make it at some time in the near future. We'll see. From what you remember with Musonda, and if he does make that comeback, which is honestly like a Tom Brady sort of comeback, it's just it's unreal. Would you consider? Do you think he has what it takes in terms of what you've seen in the past for him to come into the Chelsea setup and be an alternative as a winger? Anyone can take it.
And it would have to be a monumental turnaround, like none other. Do you know what I mean? It's borderline beyond miracle, Younes. Like you look at the kind of wingers that we have. We have Calamance and Adoy. We've got Ziyech. We've got Pulisic, and you've got all this plethora of talent. This man will have to break through all of that to even get an opportunity to be in our bench. Do you know what I mean? Like we need baby steps.
Nah, you've got situations where Hudson-Odoi can't even make squad after scoring goal.
Yeah.
Charlie needs to save himself, right? You don't want none of this smoke, Charlie.
Just leave, bro. Just
get
leave.
yourself fit and get yourself to a good home. Go look after yourself. Go find yourself some new parents who will look after you and nurture you.
Yeah.
You don't want
French league, perhaps. You could do well there.
You don't want none of this smoke. I'm seeing Hudson-Odoi score against Rennes and not even touch bench. You don't want none of this, bro. You don't want it. Go live your life. Go find a girlfriend. Do your thing. You don't want none of this here. You don't want it, bro. Now.
Honestly, that's a good point. But honestly, if he does make that comeback, it would be, as you said, Miz, a borderline miracle. And I wish him the best. And I really hope he does make it. Like it would be something to make a movie about. It would be a story just unparalleled if he does make that comeback. And the one good thing at Chelsea is that they do seem to trust players when they're going at a phase like this. I mean, look at Marco van Ginkel. He is still at Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Like Chelsea seem to have this thing where they give the benefit of the doubt, and regardless if you have the potential, they'll let you recover no matter how long it takes. So yeah, it's an interesting one. A question here from Spyro says, our players have no confidence. Now, this is something that I don't feel many people have touched on. We talk about tactics, we talk about formation, we talk about Lampard. Do you think it just could be players are low on confidence? And if they're high on confidence, everything clicks. Do you think there's that, or do you think there's more to it?
Younes, where does confidence come from? Who gives confidence in a team? Who? It's Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard needs to tell Pulisic or Cho or Kai Havertz, go out there and express yourself. Don't worry about a single mistimed pass. Do not worry. I want you to take your man on. I want, for example, Hakim Ziyech. Hakim Ziyech doesn't need any confidence. He's so much confidence within himself. He doesn't need someone like Frank Lampard to tell him that go out there and pass. Hakim Ziyech will always go in the field, will do his inverted cross, and he'll keep doing that time and time after to find the right pass. And even if it gets intercepted, he'll just keep trying. But players like Kai Havertz, players like Werner, players like Pulisic, players like many other ones that we have in our squad, Frank just needs to go out there and just say, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about the media. Don't worry about what's going on in the league table. You be you. I want, for example, Pulisic, I want you to take on the man. If you're one-on-one with someone in the wing, I want you to take on the man. I do not want you to look for an easy pass back. I want you to go head on. So for me, Younes, yes, confidence is a lot to do with yourself, but these are young players, Younes. Like we're talking about 22, 23-year-olds, some of these players. Like Pulisic, I believe, is, 22 or 23. I'm not even sure. Like he's definitely not 25 yet. Kai Havertz is 21. Mason Mount is 21. Timo Werner is 24. So, some of these players need someone like Frank Lampard to really go out there and just, tell them to express themselves. So, I don't know what the word is at the moment, but I feel like they see that Frank's rattled as well. So, and that might just be a bit of an issue for them to be showing lack of confidence as well.
And they feed off that. Yeah, I can completely understand. And there's a good point here made by Falaz. Thank you. Says Lampard doesn't do enough to motivate the players. He just stands there, hands folded. Look at Pep. Yeah. He was shouting even when City were 3-0 up. I've heard both sides to the story on this. There's some people that say, regardless, there are managers that have been successful that are not active on the touchline, but there are managers that are active on the touchline, and it should be a big deal. It does help motivate players, and it does help keep players on their toes. Matisse, for example, where do you stand on this? Do you reckon Lampard needs to be a bit more vocal and a bit more active on the touchline? Do you think him just with his arms folded doesn't help regardless of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's a situation where like we've spoken about so often at this club. It seems to be so highly rated how managers operate like on the touchline or operate, in their mannerisms. And Frank's been absolutely brilliant in terms of press conferences and media. But when you see him in a game where we're losing and we need to change things around and subs are not happening early enough, or in-game management is looking ropey and he's standing there with his arms folded and he's looking like this.
Yeah.
I'm just looking like this too. Like, what the hell? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you not know what to do or what's going on? And this is what I talk about with the coaching staff. Is there anyone of experience back there who can be like, yo, Frank, don't worry, I got you today. I know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Because that happens. Don't get twisted. Ferguson had elite assistant managers and he was turning them over every couple of years to keep things fresh. You know what I mean? Best believe Klopp's got good staff as well. There's a reason why you have a team of staff. It's not just so you have to always, because right now, Frank's going to take all the heat as per usual. Every manager takes all the heat for the form. But there's always got to be staff behind you that back you up and say, listen, let's do this, let's do that. And I don't see no one else come off the bench in recent form. Everybody's hiding. Do you know what I mean? Jodi's all well and good when we're winning to come out and start digging Mourinho on Twitter and on Instagram and start doing the madness. But now we're losing. I'm not seeing nobody come stand up and shout instructions. What's going on? Now everybody's lost their voice. So Frank just looks dejected at times. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, it's a man under pressure. It's a man under pressure. I can't speak on what goes on behind the scenes because I don't know. But from what is to the eye, it don't look good. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't look good. Do you know what I mean? I'm not seeing great things from the eye. So hopefully I'm just completely wrong and there's more to it than it seems, because like I said, he looks extremely dejected on the bench sometimes. He doesn't look like as if he's proactively ready for war. He said the other day he's excited by the bad form because it's a test of character and whatnot. But when we're when we're a lot of people didn't like that quote. But when I don't mind it if it makes sense. But
I get it, but at the same time,
I don't know if it was a good thing to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something you say out loud, but I get it. But when you're actually you're losing now. Are you excited? No. All right. You know what I mean?
It's true. And I've mentioned this in a few of my videos. When things are going badly, especially as a player, you want to see guidance from your manager. Even it doesn't have to be words, it can be action. You just get a sense of what the mood is, and whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. And as a player, you do feed off that. Some people seem to underrate that a lot, but it does make a difference. If you're a player and you look over and your manager is just nothing, arms folded, nothing. In your head you're thinking, okay. Even if you think maybe it's not going well, but he's okay with this. So let's just keep doing what we're doing because it seems like it's cool. But if you see your manager going absolutely mental and shouting this, that, and the other, it keeps you on your toes. That's just human psychology, surely. Tyrone put a comment here saying Jose said that Lampard was quietly seated when he was 3-0 down at West Brom, and I think that was part of the touchline thing that we saw between him and between Lampard and Jose when we played against Spurs. On reflection, it's a valid point. Am I right?
I'd be losing my mind at 3-0. I would be getting up and telling before even half time. I'd be screaming out just before half time to every player, "You guys are all dead when we go into the shed. Every one of you guys, you don't want to come to the shed. I'm going to kill every single one of you guys at 3-0." I wouldn't be just sitting there going, I'd be screaming out on the 30th minute saying, "Alonso, brother, you are finished. You wait till you come back. You are done."
Mate. The report, the Athletic report after the game, Miz has lost the dressing room.
Do you know what it is? Yeah, I think another factor is the fact that there's no fans in the stadium is hitting him hard. Do you know what I mean? Because again, as a player, he would have thrived off atmospheres. He would have thrived off that 11th man and all that stuff as well. And I think as a manager last season, we saw so many moments where the crowd made a massive difference for Chelsea. Ajax, Tottenham, so many games where it's like, that crowd really re-energized not only the team, but re-energized Frank as well on the bench. And I think with no fans, and it's just a dead, hollow cave just defeat. Oh, it doesn't suit him. Do you know what I mean? It does not suit him one bit. When there's no fans in the ground and it's a rough game and you can hear every single noise, and really when you can hear everything, sometimes you don't want to hear nothing. So I think that is something that is definitely affecting him. I feel that.
But Matisse, he's not unique to it, is he? He's not unique to it.
No.
The other 19 teams have the same issue.
Yeah, I mean, every team's going through the same issue, but this is where the inexperience comes into play, where not only is he an inexperienced manager who really, he's got more playing experience than managerial experience, so that's what he's going to be leaning off mainly, I think. But then on top of that, you know, you've got a situation where you're going through things that you've never gone through before, where, okay, a lot of the other managers haven't, but they've been through, you know, difficult situations themselves in their managerial careers, so they're more adaptable probably to freak scenarios. This guy, this is just nuts for him. He's in his third season, and he's done one season at Derby, one season at Chelsea, and then there's a pandemic. Brother must be thinking, what the hell? It's just too much going on. There's too much going on, bro. It's mad. It's all mad.
there's a good point here by Gideon, which I haven't highlighted, but I'm going to read it. We don't have enough leaders in the dressing room. Do you think that's the issue?
I said on byline, there's not enough bastards in this team.
Yeah,
I wanted to make it that simple. Like, this team has no bastards.
Yeah, none. Leaders, I think, Younes, I think there is leaders, but Matisse is right. There's probably not enough bastards in the team. Like, not enough people that actually going to grab you by the collar and going to say, you know, here's a message just for you. Do you know what I mean? You know, not enough people doing that. There's a lot of leaders like Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva. They're probably going out there and motivating or trying to pick the lads up. But sometimes you need a bastard. Like, you need a John Terry that's just going to look into your eyes and just going to say, you know what? You're not good enough for Chelsea. Don't even show up for training tomorrow. Don't even show up for the next match. Just stay home. You are not good enough. You just need that sometimes, as bad as it sounds, but you just do.
That makes a lot of sense.
You know, even the Diego Costa as well. You know, this team physically.
Diego Costa was a different breed, different animal.
Yeah,
but Lampard,
bro,
Lampard came from an era, especially within a team, where he was one of those cornerstones. He was one of those, you know, proper leaders. You know, so it's crazy when it doesn't reflect now in management, and you don't see the same sort of thing that we saw in him as a player at times. When it's going well, I think we do, but when it's not, as we've said, he just looks baffled. He looks confused. Pulisic season says we're approaching the middle of the season and Lamp still doesn't know his best 11, which is really poor. Matisse, if we lose against Fulham, will you turn on that? Hang on, before you answer that, last a couple of questions and then we will be ending the stream. So get them in whilst we still have the time. Thank you to the near 1,000 of you still currently watching. Amazing. Matisse, go for it.
I mean, I've said so many times this Fulham game. Yeah, if you lose that, you don't need, like I said, you don't need to be worried about me, brother. Like I said, I keep saying this.
Don't worry about the face.
If he loses to Fulham, with Leicester and Wolves coming up, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I don't know who I'm replacing him with, but maybe that Avram Grant or some interim manager is gonna have to come in. And like I said, I'm not gonna have no problem with it because I'm gonna be like, at this point, what is really going on? Do you know what I mean? If you can't even beat Fulham away from home, but like I said, I'm never gonna turn on him, and you're never gonna. I feel like people fantasize about these things because maybe from an entertainment standpoint. I'm not going to do the AFTV thing up in here. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get a hashtag Lampard out. You're not going to get me doing a big old Lampard rant on my channel. I don't have the energy. I don't do rants. If you've watched me on Twitter, I usually just try and make a joke out of everything, even if I'm pissed. So when we was about to make Europa League, I just started playing the song in my headphones. That's my type of content. So obviously after a game I'll go nuts if we've played like shit, but it's not something that I push to do. I don't stick rant in my title. I don't look to do those things. That's not the type of person that's not the type of creator I try and be. So you're not going to get a fancy hashtag. You're not going to get any of that. I would just respectfully say we need to part ways. And it's hard for me to say that, not because I've got an attachment to him now, because I've been able to distinguish manager and player, no problem. I just don't like saying part ways or sack someone with no said to you earlier in the street. Hell, we should bring in. I really don't. But one thing I do know is that if we free fall from top 4, then we'll have no choice because we need to make top 4. So we'll have to bring someone in. And it will have to be, for me, a short-term thing, because it will be a dire situation when we need to make top 4 and we need to fix problems instantly. But like I said, you don't need to worry about me. Worry about Papa Roman, fam. Roman, if we lose to Fulham, worry about Roman and worry about the Athletic, because I swear to God, they will do more damage than little old MAH could ever do.
Worry about Simon Johnson and
Worrying
Liam
about the wrong runners, bro.
Younes, about approaching middle of the season, and it still doesn't look like Lampard knows his best 11, which it is a point to take into consideration. You look at Man United, you look at other teams that are progressively getting better, and it looks like they're starting to get an idea of what that 11 is going to be, and you're starting to see consistency. Whereas with us, we still don't know. What do you reckon?
No,
At this point of the season, is it a problem?
100% is. You've said it plenty of times in your video, Younes, that the likes of Man United, Bruno Fernandes is a permanent fixture. Now Pogba is becoming a permanent fixture. Rashford is a permanent fixture. You look at Liverpool, Mane, Salah, Firmino, permanent fixtures. Do you know what I mean? Like, these guys they'll play, even if there has to be 3 games in 3 days, they'll play. All 3 of them will play. So we don't have that yet, Younes. Injuries have not helped us out with that, but form-wise as well has not helped us out. So, I would like to see over the next few matches, Frank really stick to, a particular team that he completely trusts. A lot of people are going to say, well, what about burning them out and you're going to have injuries? But, that's going to happen. And this is where recovery comes into play. This is where the doctors have got to do their job. So, I truly need Frank Lampard to start figuring out his best 11, because only then you can start, looking at the strengths and weaknesses of the team and then develop a system based on that. So, and just finally in regards to the Fulham thing from that particular point, I'm on the same standpoint, in the sense that for me, it's not even a loss. If we drop points, any points, whether it's a draw or a loss, Roman is
it's a problem.
Roman's going to say, "Where's my £250 million? Where is it? Find that money for me now." Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's a good point. It's a good point. If we don't beat Fulham, I honestly think at that point Roman could just take action. It's because you look at Leicester afterwards, that's going to be a more difficult game. Wolves more difficult. Tottenham much more difficult. If we don't win against Fulham, there's a big issue. You were talking about permanent fixtures in the team. Someone's just said, well, Mount is a permanent fixture. Do you I'm gonna do a separate video on this, and I'm gonna try and invite you guys and some others as well, because I feel like it'll be a good debate around Mason Mount. Quick one though, not going into too much detail. Do you think Mount is over relied on? Do you think he's played too much? Do you think that what good or bad qualities do you think Mount has? Should he be playing as much as he should? Do you think he brings a lot to the team? Do you think he should be rested? Like, what's your overall analysis? We'll start with Matisse.
Yeah, 100% he's over relied on, because he's never rested. Do you know what I mean? He's even against Morecambe he plays. But I also feel like maybe there's not a profile of player that does what Mount can do for Lampard. So maybe if Gallagher was here or someone like that, maybe he would rotate him more. It's hypothetical. I do think Gilmour could potentially do that role very well. Obviously, he's coming back from injury. We look at always Gilmour in the 6, but I look at Mount and where I want him to be personally. I want him to be the deepest 8. I want him to be alongside Kante if we're defending. I want him to be deeper, switching play and pushing the ball forward to the attackers. I think, at times he's had brilliant performances in the 8. He's had brilliant progression in his game as well in terms of his passing. For me, set up a great opportunity for Werner one game with his left foot. So I think he is progressing. But I also think we've looked at Rodgers managed at Man City, and a different way of it is the fact that you don't always have to constantly play them every single game, and that there's learning curves to be had as well. And I feel like when Mount's being played through injury sometimes and these things, I think sometimes it does go against him a little bit. And obviously, there's different ways of bringing up a youngster, playing him in different positions so he learns different parts of the game, his defensive contribution. Mount would have learned a lot about the defensive side of the game last season, 100%. So, there's different ways to do it. But I just feel like sometimes, just for the players' well-being and not getting ourselves into a point where we're just going to run him into the ground, it would be nice to rotate him out every so often. Yeah.
And you, Miz? Regarding Mount?
Same. Yeah, I think he's definitely over-relied on. I think, Frank seems to have this what's the word I'm looking for? Not premeditated. What's the word that I'm looking for, Younes? The sort of, he has it already, prefixed, like sort of in his mind that whatever formation he plays, whatever style he plays, Mount's always going to be there. And I feel like Frank needs to come out of that. Frank needs to think about how he wants to play football, as opposed to, I sometimes feel, I'm gonna put Mount, so how do I play my football now? Do you know what I mean? I just get that feeling that Mount's, look, don't get me wrong, guys. Mount's a very good player. He really is a very good player, and he's going to develop into a very, very good player going down in the future. But I just want Frank to sometimes relax and think about other ways of playing besides having Mount all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And it's for me personally, I've always said Mount has his good qualities. I think he has his limitations. I don't think he's the perfect midfielder. I think in some sort of elements that you do need in the character, like the characteristics you need in a midfielder, sometimes he does possess some that others don't have, for sure. Especially if you're looking for physical nature to the game, where it's that energy and that press, and even on the ball, sometimes he can give some really good key passes. He can really pick out his crossing and his shooting are two fundamentals that he has 100%.
His progression this season has been good. Compared to how I felt about Mount last season, playing out of position out wide, and the performances that I saw sometimes from him, compared to how I feel now with him in the 8, I'm way happier. I just think there's been so much progression in his game. Just the fact that we have someone that can take corners is just a blessing at this point.
Yeah, not William. That's
premeditated. That's it. The word is premeditated.
Yes, premeditated. Yeah. That makes sense. Well, anyway, okay, we're gonna wrap it there. Guys, thank you all so much for your comments. It's been a pleasure answering them, lads. It's been great having you both on. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Absolute pleasure.
Amazing, man. Let everyone know, obviously, their links to their channels are in the description below. You will find all of us on Matisse's channel tomorrow. We are doing, obviously, a weekly thing every Thursday where it's pretty much something like this. The three of us having a conversation. What's it called?
All you can eat Chelsea.
All you can eat Chelsea.
So if you needed a trailer for if you enjoyed the stream and you needed a trailer for All You Can Eat Chelsea, which is the weekly show on my channel, then this is basically what it is, or every Thursday at 11 a.m. So UK time. So yeah, literally.
Exactly. And it'll be, as he said, it's the same time as today, every Thursday over on Matisse's channel. Be sure to subscribe and check his content out. Same goes for Miz, the other side of the coin, some fantastic content. And lads, thank you for having me on. Apart from YouTube, do let them know where they can find you. Matisse, Miz.
I mean, literally, it's just the YouTube that we're pushing. Do you know what I mean? You probably, if you know me, then you're gonna probably know me from Twitter already. But it's YouTube, MAH. We're having a lot of people on it every single every day. We're putting up new content. Right now we're streaming, but if you look back in the backlog, we did do videos, and the videos will be coming back as well as soon as Boris gets his act together. But yeah, we're streaming at the moment. We had Curtis Shaw, Arsenal fan, yesterday, Turkish the day before, and you've got Lee Gunner and Tottenham Tobes, a London Carnage show coming up at 1 p.m. So not too long from now, and then obviously Younes and Miz tomorrow as well. So we're coming up. We're bringing in rival guests. You know what I mean? We had Darren Bent last week. So we're bringing in just different football perspectives every day, just giving you fresh insight, fresh thinking. And really my job is just to give you a little thought and then let you run with it and make your own opinion from there. So that's what we're doing.
And that, well, yeah, very, very good, man. And same for you, Miz?
Yeah, man. Look, first of all, Younes, thank you heaps for bringing us to your channel. Whole heap of great comments throughout the stream. I'm amazed, hour and 34 minutes and still running, and there's so many people still commenting. So that's a testament to your channel, Younes, man, and what a great organization you've built up over here. So kudos to that. That's number one. Number two, guys, you can find me, as Matisse said, weekly in his channel. Obviously, my channel, The Other Side of the Coin. I try and look at, just like Matisse said, many different sides. I'm not just one side and one side only. I look at different sort of conversation and have heaps of live streams as well. I've started doing some collabs with a couple of Man United fans as well to get their perspective and their supposed title run that they're going through. So it's good to sort of catch that with some of their fans and see what they're feeling. And it's also good to understand what they think about Frank Lampard as well, like what other rival fans think about our manager from outside, which is very, very different. Some of the comments I've heard, like it's stuff that we probably don't even think about, and they kind of allude to that. So yeah, you can catch all of that. And once a week, I do try and get a special. So like for example, last week it was Frank Khaled. It was a really, really nice episode, man. He's a really humble guy. The week before that, it was Con. So I've got a weekly special with someone top out there in our community who the fan base would want to know a little bit more about, and their opinions in a far sort of broader perspective. So yeah, that's pretty much what you're going to get from my channel.
Awesome, man. And yeah, again, make sure go into the description, check out both of their links, and catch us over on Matisse's channel tomorrow, same time. And in regards to here, if you are new, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. And there will be another video coming later today, double upload day. So be sure to be tuned in for that one later today. I will see all of you then. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Look after yourselves. Take care and peace.